The reason brilliant ideas fail to stick isn't that they lack substance, it's that they lack an anchor. We're going to show you the counterintuitive communication system that links your best ideas to permanent memory and makes them unforgettable.
Listen, this is the fundamental truth of all communication. It's not about being smarter or louder. It's about being stickier. It's about literally engineering a permanent home for your ideas inside someone else's mind.
And let me be really clear, this isn't just a collection of tips or tricks. This is a repeatable architectural system for communication. By the end of this explainer, you are going to have the exact protocol to engineer mental connections that last a lifetime.
So, that's the core question, isn't it? In a world where we are just flooded with information every single second, how do you make sure that your idea is the one that survives, the one that cuts through all the noise and actually gets encoded into long-term memory? Well, the answer isn't about luck. It's all about strategy.
All right, here's our roadmap. We'll kick things off with the unforgettable idea paradox. Then we'll dive right into the science of forgetting. From there, we'll build out the anchoring framework, unpack the psychology of stickiness, give you a step-by-step implementation protocol, and finally, we'll show you how to truly make your ideas matter.
Let's begin. To really master this system, you first have to come to terms with a strange and kind of frustrating paradox about how the human mind actually works.
So what's the solution? It's this, conversational anchoring. The core idea is simple, but honestly, it's profound. It's not about trying to create something brand new from scratch in someone's mind. That's incredibly difficult and takes a ton of energy. Instead, it's about finding a concept that already exists in their mind, a vivid, emotional, pre-existing memory, and you strategically attach your new idea right onto it.
And here is that paradox I was talking about. Why do our very best ideas, our most brilliant ones, so often just fail to land? It's because they're usually complex, they're abstract, and they're new. They require a lot of cognitive effort to process. And the brain, well, it's a ruthless energy conservation machine. It instinctively discards anything that's too hard to categorize. So your most sophisticated idea is also, by its very nature, the most fragile. That is, unless you anchor it. So why does this paradox even exist? To answer that, we have to look at the invisible enemy that every single communicator faces, the brain's default setting to forget. They call it memory decay, and it's exactly what it sounds like, the natural, passive process of losing information over time. Think of it like a cognitive leaky bucket. When you present a new, unanchored idea, you're basically pouring it directly into this bucket, and it immediately starts to drain out. And this isn't a flaw in your audience, it's a fundamental feature of the human brain. And just look at how brutal and how fast this process is. Within a single day, your audience has probably forgotten 70% of what you said. After a week, it's 90% gone. This is the invisible wall that kills influence. All that effort, all that brilliance just vanishes. This should give you a massive sense of urgency for any idea you have that needs to stick. And what's the primary driver behind this forgetting curve? It boils down to one thing: cognitive overload. Our working memory, the brain's temporary workspace, is incredibly limited. When we throw raw data or complex abstractions at it, we just overwhelm that workspace. And the brain's response is swift and automatic. Dump the data to make room. It's a pure survival mechanism. So let's put this side by side in the starkest terms. On the left, you've got raw data. It's abstract, it's fragile, and it's almost guaranteed to be discarded. But on the right, you have an anchored idea. By linking it to something familiar and vivid, you make it durable, and most importantly, you make it easily accessible for them to recall later. You're giving the brain a simple, efficient retrieval path. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. We know that memory decay and cognitive overload are actively working against us. Now let's build the solution. This is a systematic three-phase framework. This is the core architecture, and it's a strict sequence. You cannot skip a step. First, you audit your concept. Second, you create the strategic link. And third, you lock it all in with the repeat and release protocol. Let's break each one down.
The first phase is really an act of radical simplification. You have to take your big, complex idea and just distill it down to its absolute essence. Then you translate that essence into a vivid, multi-sensory image or a simple analogy. This becomes your anchor. It has to be something you can see or hear or feel in your mind's eye.
Now, this is maybe the most crucial mechanical step in the entire system.
It's not enough to just use an analogy. You have to explicitly build the bridge. You have to literally say the words, "This new idea is like this familiar anchor." This active, deliberate connection is the cognitive glue that attaches your fragile new concept to a stable, permanent structure that's already in the brain. And finally, the lock-in phase. This is where you make the listener's brain do the work. By prompting them to restate your idea using your anchor, you force them to actively retrieve the information along that new neural pathway you just built. That active retrieval is what strengthens the connection and really completes the long-term encoding process.
So we have the what, the three-phase framework. But to truly master this, you need to understand the why. Why is this system so darn effective at a neurological level? Let's pop the hood and look underneath. See, the anchoring framework isn't just a communication trick, it's a brain-hacking tool. It pulls three powerful psychological levers to guarantee memory permanence. It triggers what's known as elaborative rehearsal, it harnesses visceral cues, and it dramatically reduces cognitive load. Elaborative rehearsal isn't just simple repetition. It's about forcing the brain to think deeply about the meaning of the new idea by connecting it to something it already knows inside and out. This process of deep, meaningful processing strengthens the synapses, making the new memory super robust and durable. You know, the brain doesn't treat all information equally. Data that's linked to emotion gets VIP treatment. By choosing anchors that are visual or emotional or sensory, you engage the limbic system. This essentially puts a high priority tag on your idea, telling the brain, hey, this is important, save it. It just bypasses the brain's filter for boring, abstract data. And just look at the efficiency of the system here. Raw data completely overwhelms working memory. But an anchor acts as a single, simple retrieval queue. It's like a zip file. You're compressing a huge, complex idea into a tiny, easy-to-handle package, which makes recalling it later effortless, especially when someone's under pressure. Okay, we've covered the theory and the science. Now for the most important part, making it work for you. This is your practical, non-negotiable protocol for immediate application. 3 steps. That's it. Define your anchor, execute the linkage and repetition drill, and then perform the retrieval check and encoding lock. Let's walk through exactly how to do this. Your first task is to find your anchor. Take your complex idea, a new strategy, some difficult feedback, a market analysis, and ask yourself, what is this like? Distill it down to a single, tangible thing. It cannot be another abstract concept. It has to be something you can actually picture. Here's a perfect example. The abstract concept of unseen catastrophic risk becomes a ticking time bomb under the table. You can feel the tension, you can hear the tick, you can see the device. It's multisensory and it's instantly understood. That is a powerful anchor. Next, you execute the drill. You must explicitly state the connection and don't just say it once. A good rule of thumb is to weave your anchor into the conversation at least 3 times. This repetition isn't for you. It's to make sure that new neural pathway in your listener's brain is reinforced. Here's another one. A complex, long-term business strategy becomes building a cathedral. What does that instantly imply? Patience, precision, a grand vision, solid foundations. The anchor does all the heavy lifting for you. You'd say, think of our strategy like building a cathedral, and then you'd refer back to the cathedral later in the conversation. And please hear this. You cannot skip this last step. This is where you verify that the encoding was successful. If you skip this, you are leaving the memory to chance. And as we saw with the forgetting curve, chance is not on your side. You turn it back to them. You ask them to explain the concept using the anchor you provided. When they can do that successfully, you know the connection is locked in. They have actively retrieved the information, which strengthens the memory for the long haul. We've now covered the entire system, from the core problem all the way to the final protocol. Let's bring it all home with the ultimate lesson of why this matters so much. This is the bottom line. It doesn't matter how brilliant, insightful, or world-changing your idea is. If it cannot be recalled, it cannot be acted upon. An idea that is forgotten is an idea that has 0 impact. It is functionally completely irrelevant. So this is my challenge to you. Shift your entire mindset. You are not just a presenter of information. You are an architect of understanding. Stop dumping data and start intentionally building these mental bridges for your audience. Here is your immediate action item. Before your next important meeting, your next big presentation, I want you to take 5 minutes. Identify your single most important idea and find one powerful, tangible anchor for it. Just one. That's how you begin.
Okay, let's do a final rapid recap of the entire system we've just built together so you have it totally locked in.
So remember, conversational anchoring solves the problem of memory decay and information just vanishing. And why this matters is that it provides a systematic way to make your ideas unforgettable and influential. The framework uses a conceptual audit and strategic linkage to trigger that deep psychological process of elaborate rehearsal, which is what strengthens and encodes memory for the long term. Ultimately, effective communication is the same. Productivity isn't about doing more, it's about mastering systems that make focus effortless. And making your ideas stick isn't about talking more, it's about mastering a system like this one that makes understanding effortless for your audience and impact inevitable for your ideas.